Higher Sanskritam 2 from Appian Institute of Indigenous Sciences and Research, affiliated to Karnataka Sanskrit University, Karnataka, Bengaluru. Myself, Dr. Manasa M, Assistant Professor from Department of Faculty of Ancient Indian Sciences, Appian Institute of Indigenous Sciences and Research, Ayurveda Medical Officer, ESIC Pune, Founder and Chief Consultant, Ayurveda Panchakarma and Wellness Center, will be presenting Vimanasthana, 4 chapters, that is Sroto Vimana, Roganika Vimana, Vyadita Rupiya Vimana, Roga Bishakjitiya Vimanam for today's class. So I think in the previous class or in the previous section you have learnt about the initial chapters of Vimanasthana. So in the Vimanasthana we will be dealing with the entire concept of understanding, analyzing the Vyadi, analyzing the Nidana for the Vyadi. In few concepts we will be understanding what is Sharira, what are the basic ideology to understand how the physiology of the body needs to be understood to know the pathogenesis of the disease and further for its chikitsa. In few of the chapters, we'll be understanding what are the roles and responsibilities of a bishak, of course, of the lakshanas of the rogi, and other things which needs to be analyzed as a whole to know what is the concept of roga, rogi, and then coming to the chikitsa as a later part. So in today's class, the 4 chapters which we will be dealing will be Sroto Vimana, wherein we will be discussing about the Srotas. One of the important shloka from the Sroto Vimana will be discussed. And Roganika Vimana, about the Roga, the concept of differentiating the different types of Roga. Also understanding the Nidana Samprapti. And Vyadita Rupiya Vimana, of course, about the Vyadi and how its Rupa, the diagnosis, and followed by its Lakshana and the symptoms will be explained, and how to understand that accordingly in this Sthana is too. Roga Bishak Jitya Vimanam is nothing but how a bishop can win over a roga. So that is how the meaning of this chapter goes as, wherein we will be dealing with few of the important shlokas to understand the complete section of Vimana Sthana, last 4 chapters. So coming to the Sroto Vimana, the 2 shlokas which we are taking for today's understanding is Aharascha Viharascha ya Syat Dosha Gunaihi Samaha Dhaturbir Vigunaschapi Srotasa Sa Pradhushakaha. The second shloka will be Ati Pravrittir Sango Va Siranam Grantayo Apiva Vimarga Gamanam Chapi Srotasam Dushti Lakshanam. So in the first shloka, actually we are just going to understand what is the concept of Srotas being vitiated, or how it is going to take its vitiation once the favorable factors are not there or the favorable factors are missing. In the second shloka, we are going to understand what are the Sroto Dushti Lakshana. That is, if the Srotas, it could be a single Srotas or multiple Srotas, if they are vitiated, then what are the Sroto Dushti Lakshanas we are going to observe. So basically the gist of Sroto Vimana lies in understanding the different types of Srotas which are existing, which are considered to be the channels or the pathways in the Sharira to carry any of the dhatus in its respectable functional working manner. So that is how we define the Srotas. So in the Vimanasthana Sroto Vimana chapter, the definition of the Srotas followed by how many pairs of Srotas Acharya Charaka has been quoting, and what is its Mula, the original Sthana, the Marga, the opening, that is the Mukha, what are the Sroto Dushti Lakshana, what are the reasons of Srotas undergoing Dushti, and how do we understand the Hetu, Lakshana and the Roga when they are being vitiated, is the Sroto Vimana in a gist. So we'll be discussing about the 2 shlokas which we quoted before. So the shloka in the Devanagari goes as Aharascha Viharascha ya Syat Dosha Gunehi Samaha Dhatubir Vigunaschapi Srotasam Sa Pradushakaha. Again, the shloka in the IAST format goes as Aharascha Viharascha ya Syat Dosha Gunehi Samaha Dhatubir Vigunaschapi Srotasam Sa Pradushakaha. coming to the Anvaya Krama of the shloka. Ya ahara cha vihara cha dosha gunehi samah syat sa dhatubhi vigunaha cha api sah srotasam pradushakah bhavati. So aharaha cha viharaha cha ya syat dosha gunehi samaha. So how do we take this understanding? The ahara and the vihara, that is the food and the lifestyle or the activity, if they are in their balanced state. In balanced state is in sama avastha, then that is with the qualities of the dosha gunehi. Then the second line goes as Dhatubihi vigunaha cha api srotasam sa pradushakaha. If they are not compatible, that is incompatible with the gunas of the dhatus, then they are going to act as pollutants. That is the literal meaning which we have to take is pradushana. Pradushaka of the srotas or dushana of the srotas is seen when the ahara and the vihara which are in the sama avastha, that is according to the dosha guna, but not according to the dhatu and the dhatu avastha, then they are going to lead for the dushana of the bodily channels. This is the understanding from this shloka. So when in the commentary we are going to see that how aharascha, the reasons how the ahara and the vihara, what one is undergoing or what one is facing, undergoes vitiation when they are in against to the guna of the dhatus, and they are against the guna of what should be practically or congenially be seen, and they are in qualities of the dosha guna, that is undergoing asamyavastha, not in their samavastha, then that leads to dushana of the srotas. So coming to the next shloka of the Sroto Vimana, we saw that though Srotas undergoes its vitiation because of the lifestyle and also the food which is not congenial with respect to the dhatus, and of course according to the vigunata of the dosha, then that is leading to the dushti, the Srota dushti. Then what are the different lakshanas which we see once a Srotas undergoes its dushti is in the second shloka. So the second shloka from the Sroto Vimana is the 24th shloka, understanding about the four different factors, or you can take it as a four different lakshanas itself of Sroto after undergoing its vitiation. So what are they? Ati pravritti sangho va sirana grantayo apiva vimarga gamanam chapi srotasam dushti lakshanam. So I'll repeat the shloka in IASD format too. Ati pravritti sango vasirana grantayo apiva vimarga gamanam chapi srotasam dushti lakshanam. So what are the four dushti lakshanas once srotas undergo the vitiation is what needs to be discussed here. So let us go for the Anvaya Krama of the shloka. Ati pravrittihi sangaha va siranam grantayah apiva vimarga gamanam cha api srotasam dushti lakshanam. So again it goes as siranam ati pravrittihi va sangaha va grantayah apiva cha api vimarga gamanam. So siranam ati pravrittihi. So here ati pravritti term meaning goes as atihi and pravrittaha. So ati is something which is an excess, something which is above the level. Pravritti is something which is going to take its action or initiation or going to be as a flow start. Something which is going to start and flow on in a pathway. So that is ati pravrittihi. Sangha, the word meaning or the term meaning sangha itself makes or comes to the basic understanding as something which is being obstructed or stagnated. That is sangha. Grantayah, that is something which is having a palpable or a mass which is present in the form of a nodule, or it might create a blockage. Vimarga gamanam, that is marga, vimarga. If the marga is not in its normal, the pathway is being changed and they are going to move in an abnormal direction or a direction which is not congenial until now which was there. So that is vimarga gamana, abnormal movement of the doshas in the body or the doshas in the srotas, because the Dushti has been taken place. So the Dushti of the Srotas results in these four Lakshana. That is Ati Pravrittihi, Sangha, Granthi and Vimarga Gamana. So these are the four Dushti Lakshanas of any Srotas it could be. So in the Sroto Vimana we are going to learn about all the 13 types or the different varieties, or you can take it as a pairs. That is, they are in pairs. The Dve, they are considered to be Dvi, that is they are in pairs. So they undergo vitiation if the factors are not congenial with respect to the Dhatu and its Lakshana. And once they undergo the Dushti, the Ati Dushti Lakshanas or the Dushti Lakshanas goes as Ati Pravritti, Sangha, Granthi and Vimarga Gamana. So any Srotas, for example, undergoes the vitiation, then we have to go for the basic understanding of what is wrong in the Srotas, and that Srotas which is being vitiated will definitely show one of these Lakshana, and that results in a Vyadi. So for a practical understanding of this shloka, if in case we are going to take Jwara as an example, if Jwara is considered as a disease, then what could be the Srotodushti and why or which Srotas the Jwara affects us? If you have to understand in deep, just to know the gist of the Sroto Vimana, we are understanding that for Jwara, the Rasavaha Srotas being blocked is the major reason, wherein it is resulting into Santhapa, Karapadadaha and other Lakshanas which have been quoted in Jwara. So why? Because the Svedavaha Srotas and the Rasavaha Srotas, if blocked, that is Sangha as a Sroto Dushti is being observed, then that results in Jwara. Is a simpler and easy understanding of how one can know that if the Srotas is not in its Prakrita Avastha, that is the Srotas is not performing its function properly, the karma of the Srotas is not being functioned, it's getting vitiated, resulting in these four signs of vitiation, then that respective Srotas will lead to that respective Vyadi. For example, Jwara is because of Svedavaha, of course Rasavaha Sroto vitiation, wherein Sangha is one of the major Dushti Lakshana which can be told, and because of the Sangha there is Jwara which is seen. So coming to the next chapter of the Vimanasthana, that is the sixth chapter. In this chapter, the name itself goes as Roganika Vimanam. That is, we have to understand about the Roga and Adi, how it is being classified, what are the different types of Vyadi, why these line of consideration have been taken. So Dve Roganike Bhavataha Prabhava Bedena Sadyam Asadyam Cha. Dve Roganike Balavedena Mrudu Darunam Cha. Dve Roganike Adhishtana Bedena Manodishtanam Shariradi Adhishtanam Cha. Dve Roganike Nimitta Bedena Swadhatu Vaishamya Nimittam Agantu Nimittam Cha. Dve Roganike Ashaya Bedena Amashaya Samuttam, Pakvashaya Samuttam Cheti. So here you can understand that not just by seeing the shloka, but when you are going to read the shloka thoroughly or understand it by term, just the basic classification of the roga based upon the few of the factors is being told in this important shloka of Roganika Vimanam. So what are the gist told in Roganika Vimanam? Firstly, they are going to classify the diseases as Nijaroga, Agantujaroga, as discussed in the previous class as well, wherein Nijaroga is something which is caused by the doshik vitiation. That is when Vata, Pitta and the Kapha dosha undergoes the vitiation, when they have been vitiated, then that is resulting in Nijaroga. But what is Agantujaroga? Agantujaroga is something which is caused by a vitiation which is occurring because of any external factor. So that is Agantujaroga. Also, the diseases is being classified as a previous shloka what we learned, right? We'll be dealing with it individually. So in this first gist of the Roganika Vimana, what is the disease which is seen and how they are being classified is explained. Next, the Roga Nidana, that is what is a causative factor, the Nidana of the Roga being Prajna Parada, Asatmendriya Artha Samyoga, Kala Parinama, what we dealt in the last class about the Nidana reason, that is a causative factor. The hetu for a roga is being discussed again in the Roganika Vimana, followed by how to understand the disease and its manifestation. by the simple word that is samprapti, pathogenesis of the disease to be understood, why it happens, how the roga manifests after the doshas being aggravated, and once they leave their original svasthana and leading and going to a different pathway affecting the dosha, that is the dhatus, then that results into a roga is what is being explained in form of a samprapti. So we are understanding samprapti as a dosha dusya sammurchanaha. Then the end of the Roganika Vimana, after understanding how many different types of diseases are there, what are the reason for those diseases to occur, followed by how do we understand how it is manifested in the form of samprapti, that is pathogenesis, we are understanding how Acharya Charaka is explaining about the role of the physician, that is what a bishop should do. What are the qualities a bishop should possess to understand the disease, to understand the rogi, to go for the examination of the rogi, followed by the samprapti vigatana and chikitsa. Also, he has to know what is the reason for giving the specific chikitsa for a particular vyadi. So that is also being told in Roganika Vimana, followed by how an individual should understand that the diagnosis, that is the Deha Prakriti, considering the Desha and the Bala. Deha Prakriti is not only constituted to only the Sharira, but also the Bala, the Desha, the habitat in which they stay, and other factors, including the Dasha factors, what we are considering is also to be taken as a note here. So these all are the gist of Roganika Vimanam. Coming to the shloka which we had chosen as one of the important classification of the roga, the shloka in the Devanagari script again goes as Dve Roganike Bhavatah Prabhava Bedena. So the first the Prabhava Sadhyam Asadhyam Cha Dve Roganike Balabedena Mrudu Darunam Cha Dve Roganike Adhishtana Bedena Manodishtanam शरीरादि अधिष्ठानं च द्वे रोगानिके निमित्तभेदेन स्वधातुवैषम्यनिमित्तम् आगन्तुनिमित्तं च द्वे रोगानिके आशयभेदेन आमाशयसमुत्तं पक्वाशयसमुत्तं चेति. So the Anvaya Krama goes by after understanding the Pada Vibhaga as Dve Roganike Bhavataha. That is, diseases are of two types. Bhavataha Prabhava Bedena, based upon the Prabhava, that is the effect, or it is the after effect, which is to be considered as something which is seen after it's being manifested. The Prabhava, because of its being elicited, they are going to be classified as Sadhyam, Asadhyam, based upon whether they can be treatable or not. They are classified as something which is Sadhya, considered to be curable, or that which is Asadhya, it is incurable. The second set of classification goes as Dve Roganike Balabedena, according to the Bala, that is the strength, whether it can be Mrudu, that is mild, or it is severe to treat, that is Daruna, Mrudu or Darunam cha. Next is Dve Roganike Adhishtana Bedena, Mano Adhishtanam, Shariradi Adhishtanam cha. So the next classification goes according to the Adhishtana, where they are taking its residence, that is where they are staying. Where is its Adhishtana? So according to the Adhishtana Veda, either they are staying in the Manas or they are going to stay up in the Sharira. So Shariradi Adhishtanam or Mano Adhishtanam. Dve Roganike Nimitta Bedena, that is according to the specificity, according to the internal imbalance or the doshic vitiation, or it could be the external imbalance or the external factors and its vitiation. According to the vitiation, we are going to classify them as Swadhatu Vaishamya because of its own internal factors, or the external factors, that is Agantu Nimittaja. The last set or classification of the disease is being told as Ashaya, considering the Ashaya as the Ashraya Sthana, where they are taking its origin or where they are going to stay. Considering that as a factor, we are going to classify them as Amashaya Samuttam and Pakvashaya Samuttam. That is, whether they are residing in the Amashaya as its Ashraya Sthana or they are residing in the Pakvashaya as its Ashraya Sthana. Based upon that, the Vyadi is again classified. So रोगानिके द्वे भवतः प्रभावभेदेन भवन्ति साध्यमसाध्यं बलभेदेन मृदुदारुणम् अधिष्ठानभेदेन मनोधिष्ठानं शरीरादि अधिष्ठानं निमित्तभेदेन स्वधातुवैषम्य, that is endogenous diseases, Agantuja nimitta exogenous diseases. Coming to the Ashaya Bedana, whether it is originating from the stomach, that is Amashya, or whether they are going to originate from the Pakvashaya. So coming to the next chapter and one of the shloka from the Vimanasthana, seventh chapter, that is Vyadita Rupiya Vimanam. So in the name itself you can understand Vyadi and its Rupa and what are the factors which we need to know for its understanding is being told in Vyadita Rupiya Vimanam. Iha kaludvo purusho Vyadita Rupo bhavataha Guru Vyaditaha Lagu Vyaditascha Tatra Guru Vyaditaha Ekaha Sattva Bala Sharira Sampat Udetva Lagu Vyadita Iva Drishyate Lagu Vyadito Aparaha Sattvadinam Matvat Guru Vyadita Iva Drishyate Tayor Kushalaha Kevalam Chakshushev Rupam दृष्ट्वाद्यवस्यन्तो व्याधिगुरु लाघवे विप्रतिपद्यन्ते व्याधि guru laghave vipratipadyante. So this is a shloka which we have chosen to understand what is the concept of guru vyadi and lagu vyadi. So we can see that this is a gist of Vyadita Rupiya Vimana just before we go to the understanding of the shloka which we discussed before. So in Vyadita Rupiya, the chapter is trying to explain us how we have to identify and classify the roga based upon their rupa, that is Vyadi Rupa, external appearance, based upon the observation of the Lakshana, the Avastas, Sadhya Sadhyata and Chikitsa. We are going to give them a name or we are going to identify them by their Lakshanas and Adi. So how they are going to classify based upon the Lakshana, based upon the Roga Avastha, based upon Sadhya Sadhyata and how Chikitsa is going to be planned based upon this. Followed by what is a proper diagnosis including the Prakriti, the dosha undergoing its balanced or imbalanced, whether they are in balanced state or imbalanced state, what is a dhatu and its avastha, whether they are in their congenial avastha or not, how the agni is being considered, what is the bala of the patient. So these are the dasha factors which they are going to consider there. They are just named as prakriti, dosha, dhatu, agni, bala, kala visheshaha. Then also they are going to consider the nidana, samprapti and the lakshana to understand how the vyadi is being totally depending upon to understand. Also we have to understand about the factors and how these external or internal factors affect the disease. Then we have to understand about the concept of Vyadi Kshamatva, which we call as immunity, and whether all the doshas are involved or not in causing a disease, that is Roga, and how Chikitsa, if one's given, what is the response to the Chikitsa which we are getting. Also the prognosis of the Vyadi like Sadhya Sadhyata to be understood in this case or in this chapter. And also at the last we are going to discuss about what are the different kind of mistakes sometimes which happens in over relying on any of the factor, and that which might lead to misdiagnosis can lead to any kind of problem in giving chikitsa. Also, few of the shlokas directly discuss about how pratyaksha pramana, anumana pramana and shastrajnana is important in knowing the disease or in diagnosing a disease. So these are the direct points or the indirect understanding of how Vyadita Rupiya is totally based upon identifying the diseases through its Vyadi Rupa, and how one can go wrong because of few of the visible symptoms. So there we have to go for the help of Pratyaksha, Anumana and the Shastrajnana so that we can understand the how Vyadi occurs. So coming to the shloka which we have chosen for understanding from this chapter is Ihakalu Dvo Purusho Vyadita Rupo Bhavataha Guru Vyaditaha Lagu Vyaditascha Tatra Guru Vyaditaha Ekaha. So there we are having a division. Okay. So Guru Vyaditaha Ekaha Sattva Bala Sharira Sampad Upetva Lagu Vyaditatva Sharira Sampad Upetva Lagu Vyadita Iva Drishyate Lagu Vyadito Aparaha Satvadinam Adamatvad Guru Vyadita Iva Drishyate Tayor Kushalaha Kevalam Chakshuseva Rupam Drishtva Adyavasyanto Vyadi Guru Lagave Vipratipadyante. Vipratipadyante. So coming to the Anvaya Krama of the shloka, Iha Kalu Dvo Purusho Vyadita Rupo Bhavataha Guru Vyaditaha Lagu Vyaditaha Cha Tatra Guru Vyadita Ekaha Sattva Bala Sharira Sampat Upetatvat Lagu Vyadita Iva Drishyate Lagu Vyaditaha Aparaha Sattvadinam अदमत्वात् गुरुव्यादित इव दृश्यते तयोः अकुशलाः केवलं चक्षुषा एवं रूपं दृष्ट्वा अध्यवस्यन्तः व्याधिगुरुलाघवे विप्रतिपद्यन्ते. So here kalu, the term meaning goes as here indeed. Dvo purusho vyadita rupo bhavatah. That is dvo purusha. There are two kinds of person or people. Dvo purusha, who are suffering from a disease. That is vyadita rupa. Vyadi being represented in its rupa either into two different types of person. The one who is suffering from a very serious disease or a severe disease is Guru Vyaditaha, or the one who is suffering from a very mild disease, that is Lagu Vyaditaha. Tatra, amongst the Guru Vyadi and Lagu Vyadi, what are they and what are their understanding? Guru Vyaditaha Ekaha Sattva Bala Sharira Sampad Upetatvat Lagu Vyadita Iva Drishyate. So the person who is having a disease which is considered to be severe, if they are having good sattva, bala and proper body constitution, that is prakriti, then that appears to be having just as a lagu vyadi. So Guru Vyaditaha Ekaha Sattva Bala Sharira Sampadupetatvat Lagu Vyadita Iva Drishyate. Even though the disease is considered to be Guru, the Vyadi is Guru. But if the person is having good Sattva Bala, that is the Sharira Bala is good, the Manasika Bala is good, then of course the Prakriti is also good, then they are being portrayed as Lagu Vyadi. Lagu Vyaditaha Aparaha Sattvadina Madamatvad Guru Vyadita Iva Drishyate. If a person, even then he is having a Lagu Vyadi, that is not that serious disease, it is just a milder form of the disease. If the patient or the person is having low Sattva, that is Sattva is Adhama, then the Shakti, Deha Bala, that is a Shakti, Sharirika Bala is also weak, and the Prakriti is also weak, that is poor body condition, then it appears as if they are suffering from a severe disease. The Lagu Vyadi appears to be something which is Guru Vyadi. So Tayoho Akushalaha, in this case of such individuals, we have to take the thorough skilled knowledge and understanding. So those who are unskilled, if they are not having the knowledge and understanding them, then they will merely judge by the external appearance using only the eye, and therefore they will understand the disease in a wrong manner. They will go for its misunderstanding on the severity or the mildness of the disease cannot be differentiated. If any individual who is unskilled is not going to for deeper understanding but will go for just mere judgment upon the external symptoms which are seen. So therefore in this shloka we are going to understand a very important concept, that is what are the two different kinds or patients who are going to experience or express their symptoms to be exaggerated, or the one who is not at all going to explain what is going on in them. That is Guru Vyadita or Lagu Vyadita concept. Understanding that if a person is having a Guru Vyadi, but if in case that is the serious symptoms are there, but if in case the Sattva Bala Sharira Prakriti is good, then they are going to portray as a Lagu Vyadi. But the Lagu Vyadi, that is a person himself is having a milder disease, but the Sattva Bala is Adama, that is weak, Sharirika Bala is Adama, Prakriti or Prakritika, there is no strength as much which is required. Then in those cases we have to not merely understand superficially and judge accordingly by the eyes, but we have to go for its basic deeper understanding to know or differentiate the two different kind of diseases. So again, as we understood, the same thing is told with respect to the commentary as well, wherein we have to go for the perfect understanding and not a kushalataha. So coming to the last chapter of Vimanasthana, that is Roga Bishop Jitya Vimanam. So in this Roga Bishop Jitya Vimana, we are going to understand how the concept of Chikitsa is being told and many individual concepts of understanding a Vyadi. The the Chikitsaka, the Roga, Rogi, and the last version of Vimanasthana is being explained here. Tatu anantaramacharyam pariksheta tadyata paryavadata shrutam paridrishtakarmana daksham dakshinam shuchim jitahasta upakaranavantam sarvendriyopapannam prakritignam pratipattignam upaskrita vidya anahakritam anusuyakam kopanam क्लेशक्षमं शिष्यवत्सलमध्यापकं ज्ञापनसमर्थं चेति. एवं गुणो हि आचार्यः सुक्षेत्रमातर्वो मेघ इवि शस्यगुणैः सुशिष्यमाशु वैद्यगुणैः सम्पादयति. So we shall see what is the gist being told in Roga Bishak Jitya Vimana. So here we are going to understand how we have to treat a disease after understanding the thorough concepts being told in Vimanasthana. How the war fought between the Roga and the Bishak, that is the Chikitsaka, for understanding the disease and its chikitsa, like how the vyadi is considered to be an enemy who is attacking the sharira, then the chikitsaka is considered to be a warrior and we must fight against the vyadi by understanding its thorough knowledge, the nidana panchaka, the samprapti, and then we have to go for the chikitsa. So what are the lakshanas of such a good physician is being told here so that we can win over the disease. So what are the good qualities of a bishop, that is good physician? So they have to have a deeper sense of understanding of all the nidana panchaka, the vyadi and its classification, and also the roga and the roga pariksha to go for the chikitsa. And they have to choose the right medicine according to the ahara, vihara and the prakriti of the patient. But sometimes what happens is there are few reasons why even a disease, that is a roga, becomes stronger than the chikitsaka, because if it is not correctly diagnosed, or if it's misdiagnosed, or there is no proper treatment given, if it is the treatment given itself is improper, or the immunity of the patient, the strength of the patient itself is very weak, and the medicines which are being used is of not good quality, then the roga becomes stronger than the chikitsaka. So in Roga Bishak Jitya, we are understanding those lakshanas or signs wherein what are the qualities which a physician should have, a bishak should have to win over the disease, or else how and when the disease will become stronger than the chikitsaka, and how one has to attain the victory by following the principles of Ayurveda, and to understand how well we can treat a disease once everything is being clear and noted accordingly. Of course, followed by the Paricharaka Lakshanas, and also the Aushadha Lakshana have been discussed in this chapter. Tato Nantaram Acharyam Pariksheta Tadyata Paryavadata Shrutam Paridrushta Karmana Daksham Dakshinam Shuchim Jitahastopakaranavantam Sarvendriyopapannam Prakritignam Pratipattignam Upaskritam Vidyam Anahakritam Anusuyakam Kopanam Kleshakshamam Shishyavatsalam Adhyapakam ज्ञापन चेति एवं गुणो हि आचार्यः सुक्षेत्रमार्तवो मेघ इवि शस्यगुणैः सुशिष्यमाशु वैद्यगुणैः सम्पद्येति. So coming to the Anvaya Krama, that is, we are going to understand how the words have been divided by Pada Vibhaga, by dividing the words Pada by Pada. Tataha Anantaram Acharyam Pariksheta Tadyata Paryavadhata Shrutam. So what is Paryavadhata Shrutam? The one who is going to listen, or one who is going to understand, or is one who is already Shruta, which is well versed, or already who is well learned or earned in the science, and they have earned their knowledge. Shruta, they have been grasped it very well. So Paryavadhata Shrutam. Paridrishta Karmanam, that is, they are having that drishti or the lakshana of understanding things practically and experiencing them. Paridrishta Karmanam. Paridrushta Karmanam, Daksham, the one who is disciplined and who is already having that knowledge. Daksham Dakshinam, free from all the ego, or they are considered as the one who is considered to be jovial and is the one who is going to treat everyone by being down to earth. Shuchim, the one who is possessing uh, all the good lakshanas of being polite by Sharira and also Manas. Jitahastam, the one who is going to have a good laden hand, and once if they are going to give the chikitsa, that is considered to be something which is good. Upakaranavantam, the one who is possessing all the upakaranas. Sarvendriyopapannam, all the indriya and indriya grahana shakti, which is considered to be good. Prakritignya, understanding the prakriti of the patient as well very nicely. Pratipattignyam, understanding all that well and analyzing it according to the lakshana. Anupaskrita vidyam, that is, you should not have the knowledge which is going to create any kind of confusion. The vidya should be anupaskrita. Anahankritam, the one who is not having any kind of ahankara. Anusuyakam, that is anasuyakam. And akupitam, klesha kshamam, shishyavatsalam, adhyapakam, jnapana samartham iti. So they have to have the ability to be patient. Sukshetra, that is how the next they are going to have or explain that the analogy of a fertile field, that is Sukshetra, and Mega, that is the cloud which is going to give the rain, is emphasized here as a qualified lakshana of the Guru who is going to nurture the students with knowledge. So such an acharya is going to quickly transform the shishya into a good proficient physician, the one who is going to possess all the Vaidya guna, that is Vaidya gunai sampadiyati. So that is the importance of choosing the right guru or the right mentor in all of the Acharya is being trying to tell us that here we have to understand how not only in the medical science or anything else wherever, if the guru or an acharya is having that strength to transform all the students into a higher level of knowledge, then they are being compared, or it is being understood that in the form of a kshetra, how if rain is there, then they are going to nurture the student similarly as how rain is going to nourish a crop for its growth. So that is the lakshana which is being told here in this shloka. And before that, they have also explained that how good teacher should be and what should be done. So being a good teacher will result in a good crop, that is result in a good shishya, is the sarcastic meaning or the understanding by this shloka of Roga Bishak Jitiya Vimanam. So the qualities of a good teacher or the good bishop in this context is Paryavadata Shrutam, thoroughly purified vast knowledge of scriptures, Paridrishta Karmanam, practical experience, Daksham, who is having the skill, Dakshinam, who is very courteous or courageous, Shuchim, pure both externally and internally, that is Sharirika Manasika, Jitahastam, control over the action, Upakaranavantam, has everything with them, including the instruments and also the Aushada, Sarvendriyopapannam, the one whose senses are intact and fully functional, Prakritignam, knowing the nature of the disease, Pratipattignam, understanding, applying them skillfully, Anupaskrita Vidyam, that is, the knowledge is not merely theoretical but well applied, it is not considered to be Anupaskrita, and Anahankrita, that is, it should be free from ego, Anasuyakam, free from jealousy, and akupitam, that is, it is not with anger, it is free from anger. Kleshakshamam, the one which is capable of enduring all kind of klesha or hard time. Shishya vatsalam, it should be affectionate towards the student, that is, the bishop should be affectionate towards the student. Adhyapakam, so this kind of teacher or adhyapaka is considered to be someone who is good. So jnapana samartham, the one who is capable of imparting knowledge effectively. So एवं गुणं हि आचार्यः सुक्षेत्रमार्तवः मेघ इव शस्यगुणैः सुशिष्यम् आशु वैद्यगुणैः सम्पद्यति, that is sampadayati. So these are the lakshanas which a bishop should possess and how he should treat the patients is being told in Roga Bishop Jitya Vimanam. So coming to the summary, first of all, in the previous classes you have seen in the Vimanasthana what have been dealt, and in these last 4 chapters of Vimanasthana we have learned how Sroto Vimana has its link in understanding all the different 13 pairs of Srotas. Coming to the Roganika Vimana and understanding the Roga, Nidana Panchaka, Samprapti Vigatanameva Chikitsaha, and Vyaditarupiya Vimana of how the Vyadi and its Rupa being elicited or being exhibited leads to a greater understanding and hence resulting in Chikitsa, and what are the qualities a bishop should possess and how a bishop can win over any roga is being explained in the last 4 chapters of Vimanasthana. Thank you. Dhanyavadaha.